Good morning. Welcome to Two Gauge Farms, where we're doing our best to steward animals the way God intended, and we're new, so we're taking you all along with us. We're doing this to show that you can be a first-generation farmer. We're new farmers. We relocated from California to Northeast Texas a little over 2 years ago, and we want to document our life, and we by all means don't know everything we're doing. We're trying, and we're going to take you all along with us. So this morning we are going to be moving our chickens. We keep 2 separate flocks in our pasture, and they're all in electric netting fencing, and we move them every couple days onto fresh grass where they can get new bugs and fresh grass and new pasture. It not only is good for them to not be stationary, but it's also good for our grass as well. So I'm going to take you along with our move today, and we hope you all learned something with us. And we by all means don't say this is the only way to do it. This is just how we do it, and we're going to show you all how we do it. So these are our 2 flocks. This is, one of our turkeys. She just hangs out in here. This pen is about 160 feet, electric net fencing. This is our meat bird flock. We keep them for eggs so we can incubate their eggs for meat. So we're gonna be moving this one. I think we're moving them over to that pasture where you can see some hay that's needs to be spread out from our cows. We just moved our cows off that pasture a couple weeks ago. So that hay, we'll move them over there. They'll spread it out, which will seed, and there'll be lots of bugs in there for them to eat. And then after we move this pen, we're gonna move our egg bird flock, which we'll just show you how we do it. All right, enjoy. So I'm gonna explain to you why and how we move our fencing. So this electric fencing, I think we got our fencing from Premier One, but there's foul electric netting that you can buy from a couple different places. This fencing, I believe, is around 100 feet, and so it gives them maybe about a 25-foot run, and we move them every other day. There's a post every few feet, and that's what goes into the ground. And then in the I don't know if you can see it, in the very back, I just walked past it, that's a solar energizer, and so that goes on top of a T-post. It has a grounding post with it that it connects to the grounding post that connects, and then you have another connector that attaches to the fence, and it electrifies it. This will keep your chickens in, and it will also keep all predators out. They work so good. They work very, very good keeping out coyotes, bobcats. We have foxes here. We have all sorts of predators here in Northeast Texas, and I love it. We love having the movable coop because we use them to help. It's called regenerative farm practice. They help fertilize our pastures and our grass to help our grass grow. I'll show you in future videos where we have had chickens, where we didn't have chickens, and you can just see the grass is much greener, much more lush where we run our chickens through versus where if we didn't run them on a certain area, like we wanted to get them to another area more quickly. Right now we're moving because there's a few different ways to move the netting fences if you're doing it by yourself or if you have someone helping you. Right now we didn't move our energizer. You can see my husband's standing right in front of it. We just moved the fencing directly over it, so they're going to be on all fresh grass. But we didn't have to move the energizer, which is not a big deal. You just take the T-post out, and then you have a T-post driver, and then you move it where you need to do. It just is more time consuming when you actually have to move the energizer. And you don't always have to move it. You can move the fencing into different parts of the area and still have the energizer connecting to the fence. You just have to move your fence around a little bit to let the chickens get to the fresh grass. So not only for fertilizing is it good to have a movable coop, but it also helps with your feed with your chickens. because they're getting, every time we move their coop, they're getting new bugs, because the bugs will only be in there for a day or so, day or two. They'll be able to find bugs. And they're getting fresh grass, which also helps with their feed intake. We feed our chickens less when we have grass and we move them on bugs than if they, especially in the winter, or if they're on their run for multiple days. It also is the way cleaner to have chickens in a movable run. It can cut down the risk of mites or fleas or disease for your chickens when you just move them on fresh grass every day. This coop my husband built, and when the chickens are not in it, it's very easy for me to move. When the chickens are in it, because we have about 30 birds in that coop, it's a little heavy, so my husband will move it. When I'm doing it by myself, I just let the chickens out and close the door back up, and I move it by myself. And that's when I'll leave us. Obviously, the length of where the coop is where I stop moving the fence at, because I'll still have chickens in the run. But I'll show that on a different video. But this is just a really good way to a clean way to keep your chickens. And I'm not saying a stationary coop is bad. If you make sure you have clean practices, the deep litter method is very good. You can have healthy chicks. That's not what I'm saying. This just works for us because we don't want to have to fertilize our pastures for our cows, because we also have cows. This way we can move our chickens after our cows, and our chickens help fertilize with the cow poo as well. Helps fertilize our pastures and help grow our pastures. I'm going to explain our meat birds in a sec. The clip for when we move our meat birds, how we keep them. This is our egg production flock. And as you can see, this probably took my husband and I maybe around 5 to 7 minutes to move this fencing. There's other ways you can do it instead of how we did it. You can lay it down flat and do it by yourself. This is just how we do it. We can get it done pretty quickly. It's very, very easy. It's very, very easy to do. So I think you cut off in the corner so I can show you how far we moved them. We didn't move them that far, maybe 3/4 of what the run was. The back end right there is where Energizer is. That's where the end was of the pen before. So we didn't have to move the Energizer today. We just moved the fence over the Energizer, and because that's a solar powered Energizer that energizes the fence, and then set up their pen right next to the garden. And now we're letting them out and we're gonna feed them. And then I'll see you back at when we move the egg chickens, which is them. This is our egg flock. See you in a minute. So this is our egg bird flock that we're moving. Their fencing is about I think it's 160 feet fencing. Our egg birds, I'm sorry, not our egg birds. These are our meat birds. And we bought them as meat birds, and we kept 7 hens and 1 rooster so we could keep eggs from them and incubate them so we can hatch our own meat birds, so we don't have to always purchase our broilers, aka meat birds, from the hatchery every time we want chicken if we run out. So their run is a little bit different. Same type of fencing. It's a little bit taller than a normal fowl fencing. Your chicken fencing doesn't need to be this tall. I think we got small livestock fencing when we ordered this one instead of getting the chicken fencing, but it works. It energizes, it keeps our chickens in, keeps predators out. We're moving this one the same exact way. Their run is really easy to move because, like I said previously in this video, they don't have an actual coop that they go into all night. And the reason for this is they choose not to. They were actually raised in a chicken tractor that you move every day, and they don't get to free range, like free, quote unquote, free range, like our other chickens in this fencing, because they were just in a 10 by 8 foot tractor that we moved on fresh grass every day, because we wanted to hold on to these chickens and have them. They're actually very good egg layers. since we want to incubate their eggs, we wanted to give them freedom like we do our egg bird flock. So we got the fencing, and because they weren't used to going into a coop, they just need shelter from the weather. And in the summer, we put up something for shade for them. And they're 100% content just going in this doghouse. It was actually an extra large doghouse that we split in half, and they go in one coop or one part of the doghouse at night, and they lay in the other. It actually works perfect because it's very easy to move. I move their house into fresh grass every time I move it, and the eggs actually stay clean because it's just fresh grass when I'm moving their little house. So we're pretty much moving it the same exact way that we move our egg bird flock. And I know I said in the beginning of the video that we were going to move it to the other pasture with the hay, but we have so much grass that they can eat here, and it's a big run, a move to move them from where they are over to where the hay is that we want to move them on. So we just moved them closer to our gate, or at that other pasture, this time completely on all fresh grass. How we move them, since they're not penned up in a coop, when we actually move them, is we just herd them like a little herd of chickens with the fence, and they walk with the fence if we move them with the fence. That's not ideal to move them. They do get out. However, all of our animals are trained to feed buckets, including my chickens. So if they do get out, I just grab food and I'll show them the bucket, and I'll put food where I want them, and they'll actually eventually work their way over to the food where we want them to be. So when we move them this way, it's not the ideal way to move chickens, because you can't really herd them. It's just that they're food driven. So, and we're not worried about them if they get out, because we can always get them back in. Chickens, especially these chickens, because they are meat birds, they're a little heavier than an egg laying chicken. So they don't move very fast. So we can always get them back in the fencing if they get out. So it's not that big of a deal. Because this fence is so big, it does get tangled a little bit easier than the other one, but they're really easy to get untangled. And so that's what we're kind of struggling with a little bit, is it getting a little tangled, but it works. And until we get new chicken fencing, or if we need this fencing for another livestock, we might use it for our pigs in the future, we'll just get the normal chicken fencing, and it's a lot easier to move. But that's what we're doing right now. They end up going on all fresh grass. They love it, eating the bugs. And the next time we move them, I'll show you a better closer up video, or the other way that I move it in another video, if anybody wants to see it, because I was saying in my last earlier in this video that there's a couple different ways that you can actually move this fencing. But this is how we do it, and it works for us. Our ladies are happy. It's amazing. It's like an amazing feeling when you put animals on fresh grass every day. Like, it just feels so good because they're so happy. They immediately start scratching for bugs and eating grass, and it's just an amazing feeling that we are trying to give these animals the best life that they have while they're in our care. It's how God intended it. God intended animals to live this way, and we're doing our best to steward them the way God intended. Hi guys, so we just got done moving the chickens that I showed y'all. Sorry about the camera angles, you missed some corners and everything. If anyone has any questions, please drop them down below. I wanted to tell you, we didn't end up moving the chickens over to the other pasture that I showed you before. There was still enough room of the grass of the pasture that they were on to move them one more whole time. So they got a whole new area before we moved them through the fence to the next pasture. So we wanted to make sure that they fertilized this area and got all the bugs that they could get from this area before we went ahead and moved them to the next pasture, which I showed you in the beginning. So that's what we did today. We do this, like I said, every couple days, and we're just documenting our journey and hoping y'all enjoy our journey. And if you have any questions, drop the question below, and we will see y'all later. Hope y'all have a blessed day.